So that was a little side rabbit. We got him. All right. Back to Colossians. Don't let anybody cheat you out of your reward in voluntary humility, worshiping of angels, and trading into things which he has not seen, vainly puffed up by his fleshly mind. Now I remember why I told you that story. Because as we found those newer, as we found the older Greek texts, what we realized was there had been some things added along the way that shouldn't have been added. There's a word here that changes this verse unnecessarily. Let nobody cheat you out of your reward by showing you in a voluntary humility and worshiping of angels, intruding into those things which he has not seen. The word not is not in the original Greek. So what Paul is saying is people will intrude into the things they have seen out of you, and they'll down judge you for it. Right? So people will get into your business. People will intrude into the things that they have seen because they're vainly puffed up in their own flesh. They'll watch you do something in the flesh, and they'll judge it in their flesh because their flesh is vainly puffed up. Guys, this is how you leave your peace behind, is when you allow people to determine who you are in Christ by what they say about you and by what they do to you. And this is also how you leave your peace behind when you treat other people that way. So when you begin to determine people's value based upon what you see out of them, we become vainly puffed up in our fleshly minds. And not holding fast, 19, not holding fast to the head, from whom all the body nourished and knit together by joints and ligaments grows with the increase that is from God. Therefore, if you are dead with Christ from the rudiments of the world, why, as though living in the world, are you subject to its ordinances? Take a look at that word rudiments again, and remember that back in verse 8 when he said, don't let anybody cheat you using vain philosophy and the rudiments and the elementary principles of the world, now he's going to tell you what those elementary principles are. These are the basic elementary principles of planet Earth. You have died with Christ from them. Whatever they are, they don't apply to you because you're not who you used to be. Let's walk through this slowly again. If you're dead with Christ, how many of you believe you died with Christ? That's your whole salvation, by the way. If you didn't die with Christ, what in the world's the cross for? Are you trying to aspire to the cross? Good luck with that. You either died with him or it's way beyond you. This is what I like to make it that simple with people. You either died with him at Calvary or you're in trouble because the cross is way too high up that hill for you to get up. You either died or you didn't. So you're dead with Christ, but you're dead from what? Well, I'm dead from sin. Paul doesn't go there. Again, we say dead from sin a lot. We're dead to sin, but we still sin. Here's what you're dead from as well. The rudiments of the world. Why, as though living in the world, would you be subjected to its ordinances? What are the ordinances of the world? 21. Touch not, taste not, handle not. Really, really simple. What do they sound like? Well, they sound exactly like that. You people shouldn't touch this. You people shouldn't taste this. You people shouldn't handle this. You don't have to raise your hand. In fact, please don't. But how many of you was this at least the underpinning of most of the sermons you heard in the church coming up? It was me. Guess what I heard when I went to church? What not to do, what not to watch, what not to taste, what not to touch, what not to handle. Because if you do, I'm here to tell you, you're playing with poison, you're playing with a snake, it's going to bite you. You're in trouble. We built our entire moral philosophy off of what not to do and what to do. And here was one of our end results. You could meet a fellow believer and you go, hey, what do you guys believe over there? Nobody knew how to answer that, but they sure knew what to tell you what they didn't believe in. What do you guys believe over at that church? Well, I'll tell you what we don't believe in. And that was easy. Here comes like 18 things we don't believe in. Why is it so much easier to tell people what you don't believe in than who you believe in? Because it's the basic elementary principles of the world. The basic elementary principles of the world are, don't do this, and if you don't, you'll be rewarded. Do this, and you'll be cursed. Do this, and you'll be blessed. Don't do this, do this, do this, don't do this. That's how we teach our kids. It's basic. It's called elementary school for a reason. It's the elements. 2 plus 2. 5 times 5. World's a sphere, goes around in a circle, goes around the sun. We teach you all these basic stuff. Elementary principles of the world are don't touch, don't taste, don't handle. We're not at the end of the parentheses, by the way. Look at 22. They are all perish with the using. In other words, everything you're being told is stuff that passes away. None of it's permanent. It's all fleshly. It's all natural. And guess what they're built on? The commandments and doctrines of what? Men. The remarkable thing is, if Paul was a Jew living under Judaism, he wouldn't have dared called them the doctrines of men. He would have called them the doctrines of God. But then Jesus came, dies on the cross, raises from the dead, and releases you from the obligation of being moral based upon the law. And what does that leave us with? Anything left in the commandments are doctrines of men, not doctrines of God. They can't be doctrines of God. Jesus is the doctrine of God. He's all that's left. He is the doctrine of the Father. These things, 23, these things indeed have a show of wisdom and will worship. Look at this. This is how they make you feel if you do them. If you live your life by touch not, taste not, handle not, boy, you'll look smart, and it'll be will worship, and you'll look humble. And they indeed even neglect the body. There are some things they do to bring the body into subjection. But guess what they don't do? They don't in any honor satisfy the flesh. In other words, they don't take away your desire. They don't transform you from the inside out. That's why Jesus said, so you haven't committed adultery, but have you lusted in your heart? In other words, oh, you didn't touch her, did you? But you're not as good at it as you think you are. Why? Because by not touching doesn't do anything to take care of your flesh issue. And we have one. Now that's the last verse, right, of chapter 2? Give me the next verse of chapter 3. Paul doesn't break it up. We do. Watch where he goes next. If you are then risen with Christ, seek the things that are above. Look at this. Paul preaches your resurrection as being in the past, not just in the future. If you only think of the resurrection as something that's going to happen to you someday, then you're not going to walk in the fullness of what you should be today. If you're risen with Christ, then here's what you ought to be doing. Seeking things that are above, where Christ sits at the right hand of God. 2. Set your affections on things above, not on things on the earth. This is the stuff we preached all weekend. 3. For you are what? Dead. You're dead. Not you're dying. Not you hope to die. You're already dead. You're dead, and your life, go back to verse 3. Colossians 3:3. You're dead, and your life is where? There it is. You're in Christ, Christ is in you. The old you's dead. So why would you go back to the cheapest, most elementary form of determining your value? I didn't touch it. I didn't watch it. I didn't go there. I didn't do that. I must be favored with God. Paul said, you're dead. What are you talking about? Your life's saved with Christ and God. You go back to the rudimentary, elementary principles of the world, all you'd be done is in bondage, because that's all those principles know, is what not to do. I'd rather you know you are alive. What happens if you're alive? Well, then you might live more abundant, and you might stop cheating yourself, and you'll certainly stop letting other people cheat you out of what belongs to you because of Christ that lives in you and the you that lives in Christ. And that's good news.